Welcome back everybody, this is Phil, professional painter and decorator, welcoming you to today's video on uPVC spraying. You'll find it really interesting because it follows on from the last video, which was setting up a HVLP sprayer. Today we're going to be spraying Kolorbond onto a uPVC window. Yes, I'm going to use the HVLP I've got down here, but I just thought I'd talk you through the process of spraying uPVC windows. Right, obviously I'm using Kolorbond. I'm holding the tin up, I'm showing you what I've got. This is Kolorbond. I've used it before, been happy with it. As long as your preparation's right, I can't say that I've had any problems with it, which is good. So I'm using this. It's on uPVC windows that have got the wrap over it. Put that down. It's got the wrap over it, cherry, oak, wrap, whatever you call it. Now I'm changing it because the customer needs a change of window for the garden landscaping that they're having done. So we're going to change it. It's just one window. It's quite straightforward. There's no openers on it. It's just a window. Now yesterday I prepared it all up. I've used the window clean, can you see that, which you can get from Kolorbond. You dilute this 1 to 3 ratio, so obviously 1 part cleaner to 3 parts water. What I do with that, put it in a bucket, I get an old 2-inch brush, scrub it all over the windows, let it soak in, get into all the nooks and crannies, making sure that it's all everywhere. Go over it with one of the Scotch Brite pads, which is what you want to be scratching the surface with. You don't want to be using sandpapers that are going to make it scratchy and lose the nice smooth surface of uPVC. So it's just a Scotch Brite pad, that cuts it down. I hosed that off with some water because I've got a hose pipe handy, so I could hose that all down, dried it all off with a microfiber towel. Once that was done, I swap across to the Kolorbond window prep. Now the window prep, can you see that? It smells like cellulose thinners. It probably is something on that line of a cellulose thinner, a gun cleaner, but I do it to the specification that Kolorbond recommend. So do the water-based wash down first, dry it off, then I go over it with that. Now I've gone over the window a couple of times with this window prep to make sure it's all clean, and I'm quite happy with it now, so I'm all good to go for spraying. Now you're going to say to me, Phil, what do we do before the spraying on a uPVC window? Well, the fiddly bit of spraying a uPVC window, part of the prep, is taking out the silicone all the way around the edges. So I'm just going to show you what I've done on the window and show you how I've cleaned it all out, and then you'll get the idea. So I'm going to go like that so I know to stop the video, and then I'll come back and join you. Just focus in again. Right, I'll do that so I know I'm starting the video again. Right, this is the window. Quite a straightforward window. You can see I've taped it up. I've used the painting and decorating tape from Q1 Tape Solutions. That's gone all the way around the outside. I've kept slightly away from the edge, just so when I spray onto it, I'll get back on. When I spray onto it, the spray will go onto the glass. Now it's easier just to get a blade and clean it back to the seals on the window than actually letting the paint go onto the seal with the tape, if that makes sense. The tape going onto the seal, that when you pull it off, it pulls it off the seal. So if you just keep away from the seals with your tape, you haven't got to worry too much about the glass getting the paint on it, the Kolorbond paint. But going back to what I've got you here for, can you see around the sides, the gaps up there? There, that's better. That's got obviously the brown masticky silicone sealant that was going around. I'm just looking at it, there's a little bit there. So what I've done with that, I've cleaned it all out. I've got a Stanley blade, snap off blades, let me bring you back. Just got a, you see that? Stanley blade. I cut it all out, got my putty knife, got that to clean it all out. It's only on the sides, on a bit underneath there. I've cleaned it all out, got it all out, cleaned it all out, and it's good to go. So once we've actually sprayed the window, what I'll do, I'll paint the rest of the wall, because the wall's only had one coat. I'll paint the rest of the wall, and then I'll go round with some more masticky silicone, low modular, whatever they use, round windows. Now this window is going to be in the anthracite, the RAL 7016, which is just a standard colour everybody seems to be going for now, but it's quite popular. So you can get that colour match to your mastic sealant that goes around the sides. So really, if you can see that, the window's good to go. Now I'm going to do that again, because I'm going to go back to the HVLP and show you what I'm doing with that. So see you in a minute. Back again. Right, I'll just drop you down. I'll bring it up. I've got the HVLP sprayer. I've already got the Kolorbond in there. Now it's like water. It's really, really thin. You don't need to thin it again. I've changed the needle. You'll probably see on the last video I had a 1.8mm needle in there, and now I've got a 1.5, because this is obviously a thin, very thin paint. Now I'd say it's a cellulosey smell, so obviously it's more cellulose. It's dry within a couple of minutes of the application, so I'll be able to do this quite easily within the next half an hour. I won't bore you through half an hour's worth of spraying, but I'll give you the basics of what I'm doing. Right, with the sprayer, I won't turn the machine on yet because it's very noisy, but what I've done, I've just tweaked the dial, because what I want to do is get a mist coat going on as the first coat. So really screw it down so it's shut off, then open it up so you get a fine mist wash coat as your first layer of paint over your uPVC. Let that go off, let it dry, and then increase the paint from the needle at the back. Allow a bit more paint to go through so you can build up in layers. 2-3 layers you'll probably do it. I'll do a fine mist coat first, and then my next two over the top will be slightly thicker, because obviously I'm adding more paint on. I'll let it all dry off. I can give it a fine nib down if I need it, and give it a final one if I feel it needs it. I'm probably thinking it won't. Now, can you remember what I did on the last video about regulating the fan pattern, bigger and smaller? I've done a bit of a test on a piece of card, because brown's quite good for showing up any sort of spray. So that's the colour. You can see I've got it down to virtually a dot in the middle there. Can you see that? I'll put that down. I've got it down to a dot there. That's quite small. And then you just increase it on your fan width. Now the window's not very wide, is it? So once I've had a little bit of a practice on the cardboard, I'll know what fan width I want, and then I'll go hell for leather and get the window done. Quite easy really, isn't it? Dead simple. You're all going to be doing it by the time I finish this video. Of course you are. Don't forget, thumbs up, comments, subscribe. That bell I keep going on about, press the bell. I don't know what the bell means, but yeah, please share and do whatever you like with it. Right, shall I show you how to spray the window? I'll move the video camera around. I'll set it up so you can see what I'm going to do on the window. I'll turn the machine on. It'll be very loud. I won't be able to speak to you. I've got a mask. This is my Sunstrom mask. I've had this nearly 30 years now. Had it round about in the college days in the early 90s. Obviously it's still not the same filters. I swap those filters as and when they need changing. There's a pre-filter on the front. That gets changed every job. I've explained that in previous videos, so it's nothing to go back over that. This is brilliant. So I'll have my mask on. You'll see me spraying with the mask. You'll see what I'm doing. Right, I'm going to move you around. I'll give a thumbs up now, because that'll be for me to edit the video and then move the video to the other position. Right, get it up right like that. Can you see me? Yes, of course you can. I've got thumbs up. Right, basic spraying on this. Be interesting to hear everybody else's technique on this. Bear in mind the paint dries really quick, so we're not going to get a chance of it running on me. I'm only going to be putting fine layer coats on. It's better to put thinner coats on than thicker. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to start with spraying the underside all the way there, try and get the underside coated up. I'll then go to the corners, and then I'll go up, I'll move my finger, I'll go up the sides, I'll go across the top coming towards me, I'll go back down the side there, I'll fill in on these middles And my last bit, there'll probably be a bit of bounce over spray probably. I'll just do the sill. Once that's had the mist coat on, we'll see what it's looking like. But what I'm going to do now is just get the sprayer on. It's going to be quite noisy. I'll have my mask on and we'll get it sprayed up. Right, so I'm going to stop there. Thank you. Back with you. Oh, you can smell it in the air. That was a very fine mist coat to give it a grip for the surface. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to just tweak the end of the dial to allow a bit more paint to come through. I noticed that my fan pattern was probably a little bit too wide, so I'm going to narrow the fan pattern down, put a bit more paint on and build it up that way. Now I don't know whether you noticed that obviously if you're used to HVLP spraying, if you move the air cap one way or the other, if you've got the air cap like that, that's going to give you a spray that goes that way. You change it that way, the spray will be that way. So if you're doing flat verticals going that way, you'll have it like that, or change it that way. It swivels round, it's quite loose. So that's how you can change your fan pattern, left or right, up and down, that sort of situation. So what I'm going to do now, I'll turn it back on the machine because that will be dry. I'm going to allow a bit more paint through. I'm going to narrow the fan pattern down and I'll do the same again. It's a little bit awkward on where I am because I'm on steps which are being taken up because there's garden maintenance being done. So it's a little bit awkward underfoot. That's probably why you see me slipping and sliding. But don't worry, we're all good. There's nothing that I can't overcome, and then I'll see you after the next coat. saw me do a different style. I just did it in sections because it's drying off that quick. I'm not too worried about any runs, obviously, and it was just easier because this is such an uneven surface. I didn't want to be doing too many awkward passes than it needed to be. So that's had 2 coats. It's covering nicely. As I said, I'd rather have thinner coats. I've got a litre, there's loads in here. It's going to be no problem to get an extra coat on it. I want it to be solid and built up, so I don't mind just giving it a few more extra coats than I probably would do, because that cherry oak is quite dark. So I'm just going to now just turn the knob. Just going to allow a bit more to come through, and I'm going to give it another pass. Again, I'll start with the underside, try and get as much as that as I possibly can, and then I'll do exactly the same as what I've done, because it just makes it easier for me moving it out. So put my mask back on. Just gone over that with obviously a thicker coat. Now, to be honest, you'd probably say it's covered at that. A bit of the brick dust has blown out, so what I'm going to do, I'm just going to give it a few minutes, just let it dry off. I'll address those, just get some light little sandpaper. I'll just nib it all off, and then I'll go over it again. And then if I'm happy with it, it can stay as it is, or because I've still got plenty of paint, what I'll do, I'll give it another coat. So I'll just do my thumbs up now, so I know I'm stopping the video. I'll pause it, and then I'll do all my bits and pieces, then I'll come back to you. Thank you. I'm back again. What I was telling you on the last part, there were a few little granules of brick that had fell onto it. Well, this Kolorbond dries that quick. By the time I came to them, I just got, every decorator needs a duster brush, proper duster brush, Purdy duster brush. That was in my pocket. I just dusted them off and they went straight away. Now, what I've done off camera, I've just checked round There you go. Check round all these edges there, around the seals, to make sure that they were covered, and anything that just looked a little bit suspect, I've just blasted them out, just to make sure that they're all covered. So that's really had 3 fine, medium and a third top coat, and then just be checking over. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to tweak it, and you can see where I've done some test pieces on the polythene sheet. I'm going to do some more of that just to make sure that the fan pattern's the right size I want. My paint flow, my paint my paint that's going on is going to be enough, and then I'm just going to give it a final coat, and that will be finished, and then I'll come back to you. Put the mask back on. It stinks when you smell the tip.
Well, that's it done. Brilliant stuff. What a colour change. I don't know whether you noticed on my final blast, I'll call it a blast spray, I just turned my fan pattern a little bit wider and I went from one end to the other all in one go, just to get the sill nice and even. because obviously every time you're stopping, that's going to get a little bit more build up of paint. Now it doesn't matter, I suppose, on your first few coats, it dries quite quick, but just on your final, do it all in one and then it'll all flow out. Now as I was going, you can probably see I went over it a couple of times because I could see it was just starting to go off. Now is that because I've missed it, or is it just going off on me too quick because it's quite warm out, the air's blowing, I'm not sure. But the beauty of this Kolorbond stuff is, with it being that satin finish, it hides a multitude of sins, and I think, to be honest, that is a near perfect RAL 706 7016 anthracite colour. To me, that's spot on. I'm quite happy with it. So for now, let's sign off the window. We're all happy with that, and I'm just going to tell you what I'm going to do now. Now, cleaning it out, because it's got that cellulose spray smell to it, what I'm going to do, I'm going to tip out the Kolorbond out the pot. I'm going to wipe the pot out with a soft cloth that's got some gun cleaner on it, clean it all out, clean the centre core suction pipe out, and then I'm going to put some cellulose thinners into the pot, swill it all around, and then blast that through it to clean it. And then once I've done that, I'll strip out the needle, I'll strip out the orifice, I'll strip out the air cap on the end as well, and just wipe those all over and clean them with the gun cleaner. And after that, I mean, that's done, we're good to go. Put it away. I'm quite happy. So simple, cleaning up, no problem. You haven't got to get any water. If you want to finish it off with some methylated spirits, you could do, but I don't see there's any point. Back in the day at college, we used to wash stuff out with white spirit and then finish with methylated spirits, then soapy water. But with this being such a cellulose based product, what I'm going to do is just clean it out with gun cleaner. I think we'll be good at that. You've only got the pot to clean and the needle and the air cap. Other than that, there's nothing else to do. But I will say to you, if I've got this wrong, if I'm doing it wrong, if I'm spraying it wrong, if you think I could improve on my spraying, tell me, because we're all, every day's a school day. Comments below, thumbs up, likes, yeah, you know, it's all tongue-in-cheek, but yeah, I'm trying to get you to look at what you could be doing. If you've taken the time to watch the HVLP setup, if you're looking at getting into uPVC spraying, this is what you could do. Now, that QT5 that I'm using for this spraying, roughly about £1,000. Now, how quick could you get that £1,000 back if you're painting a window like this for somebody? Yeah, comments below. How much do you think this window should be charged out at? That's another question. People are going to have different ideas on that. The paint's roughly about 40-ish, £50 for a litre. Might be a little bit cheaper depending on how much you buy in. So we've got, let's call it 50 quid's worth of materials. How long have I been spraying it? I've been talking to you. I could probably get this done in half an hour. Let's say an hour. So let's book it out at an hour. What would you charge for that an hour? If you're on £10 an hour, would you charge £10 an hour for that plus your materials? Probably not. So let's have some comments below on how much you think this sort of window should be charged out at. Obviously, I've got my expertise, and you know how expertisey I am at everything. We've got expertise, we've got the materials, we've got the actual machinery. We've all had to spend on that. So what would you be charging for a window like this? Just out of interest, let's see what you'd be charging. It's a three pane window. We've got no openers. Obviously, if we've got openers, what we'd be doing is taking the openers out, painting them all off the window. I know some people will paint them on the window, that's up to you, but I think if you've got to get some tight edges, it's sometimes easy to take the window out. But yeah, let's have some comments on that. What would you charge for a window like that? That'll be my next question. But other than that, I'm quite happy with how it looks, and I'll see you on the next video. We'll leave it there. I'm just going to go thumbs up so I'm finishing, so when I do my editing I know that's where I'm coming to an end, and I'll say thanks for watching, thanks for sticking with me. I know a lot of you watch me because you're interested in what I'm doing, and it's much appreciated. So thank you very much, and we'll say over and out. Bye bye.